be inside. In fact, lockdown. Please try and come out. Come out and face it. It means you have to devise means to live with that. I think that's the area government might be going. That this thing seems to be that it's not something a lockdown, perpetual lockdown will solve. So let us just start owning up the fact that it might be with us. And then we keep on applying measures that will make us not to contract them.
All right, okay, good. So the places of worship, the ban on places of worship has also been lifted.
That particular one. You see, I think government has to be very careful. Very, very careful. You know why I said I don't think COVID is a religionist. I don't think so. So if you think that people gather, even if they say a population of no more than any number at all, even if it's like 20, what about 20? And then there are those who have that there. Won't it just still rot the devastation that even if one person is there, it can go on, the transmission could still go on. But for me, it's just like school, which they have finally said, no, let's hold on to that until health experts. I don't know the difference between that, perhaps because adults and all that attend the churches and all that. If that is their reason, that is the only area I'm worried about. I hope the leaders and all that, now that I think they try to showcase hastiness.
And they lifted the ban on
yes, on religious worship. But maybe because we've agreed that these things seem not to be going, and let us devise a means of
to live with it.
Because you cannot indeed also perpetually shut out worship centers. In that way, maybe you start saying, maintain social distance, because government will not kill itself for the citizenry. If it gives directives and you fail to heed the directives.
Let me move to Dr. Emmanuel Wona.
Yeah, Annie, I'm worried, seriously. The worry is because it appears the PTF and those who are managing this, the spread of this virus almost appear to be helpless. They appear to be clueless in terms of what actually they should do again. They seem to have exhausted the ideas they have. Because, first of all, look by 4 a.m. and then come back late by 10 p.m. And the big question is, what? So what it means therefore is that you are giving Nigerians the freedom more, to move out and interact. It seems not to be enforced. They seem not to be enforced. You are just rolling out plans like that. And I don't see that kind of thing, commitment, and enforcing those rules that will guide the gradual easing of the lockdown. It is just one room, but on the ground that you must have 50 members at a time, not more than 50 members, and apply all those rules. But my worry is that how many of the churches are applying? Are there people going around to ensure that these churches are actually sticking to the rules of the game? Nothing is like happening.
Yeah.
So I think that, okay, look at also the issue of somewhere in the banking sector. It's okay. But again, if you also look at, interstate movement, that is where they have even failed woefully. In fact, was it yesterday? Someone told me that he's not in Port Harcourt. He came from Akwa Ibom State. And I was wondering, how did you move from Akwa Ibom State to Rivers State when we have restriction? Borders are closed. There's no movement within the borders, interstate border force. And it will be pretty difficult for us to begin to, adapt to a new style of living. And that's the danger in this kind of a pandemic. So, but I think that what we need to do really, you see, when you roll out policies or regulations or rules, you must ensure that you take active steps, pragmatic steps to ensure that those things are realized. Okay, look, for instance, was it last week or so that resident doctors threatened to go on strike? What was their reason? Frontline health worker commitment in ensuring that this thing can be curbed. We have heard of the Madagascar organics that have been brought to us.
Yeah.
Nobody hearing about that. Has it been tested? Like the president said, he will listen to science. Science from where now?
That's what
rules and regulations, but you are not taking the active, pragmatic step to ensure that those rules and regulations are obeyed.
what it means, therefore, is that look, at a point, it might be to attend to Israel. Government will just get, tired and frustrated about it because it's spread.
They have said that the next phase, state governments and local governments need to take the fight on.
You see? Thank you for reminding me. And that's where they go again. You recall that when Rivers State government, governor was taking all those pragmatic steps, they were hard. Most people were hard on him. Are you NCDC? Why are you fighting federal government? Now the same federal government is in the way, shifting it craftily to state government and local government. And what it means, therefore, for me is that look, we're almost getting tired of this thing. And let the state government and local government come in and do.
He said because we have moved.
Why didn't they do that?
Let me tell you what they said. Why?
Yes.
That we have moved into community transmission, and because it's community transmission, we have to get this closer to the people. This is where states and local governments need to own the fight.
Are they not expecting that? Were they not expecting that?
At the point, then it wasn't.
Yeah, no. Because look, if anybody in any right-thinking human being in Nigeria will tell you that this spread will not get to community.
But did they stop? Did they actually stop state governments from taking initiatives? I don't think so.
No, it didn't.
I don't think they stopped them.
What I was saying that it appeared initially that it was all about federal government affair, because look, I'm using the case of Rivers State as an example,
And in Rivers State, what happened?
Yeah, you remember what happened when the governor
the
cavity, yes, exactly. A lot of criticism. People were there criticizing him. Why did he do it? In fact, I posted something online, and a lot of people reacted.
Yeah, I wonder how the federal government was saying, "Oh, these are essential service people," and then Rivers State is saying, "Yes, but we have our own protocols here." I wonder how that means the federal government didn't want Rivers State to take her own initiatives.
No. The point of departure is that, look, we are doing this. Even when the thing started, you can see that the federal government didn't need to test state governments. Different state governments started coming out with measures, right? Yeah, they did, including Rivers State. They did. But federal government, particularly in Rivers State, believed that COVID-19 will not get to the communities. That person was
that's what I'm saying. I still don't see the actions of federal government initially hinting at the fact that this will not get to community stage. They did say that they were trying their best at that time to ensure it don't. Because even all the time you had Boss speak on this and the Minister of Health was that they want to make sure that they are able to nip this as quickly as possible so that we don't get to the point of community transmission. And even when they say getting cases in Lagos, that was when they first started hinting that we have gotten to the point of community transmission and we still want to ensure that we limit it. There is a level of community transmission. You can have a full-blown community transmission and can get community transmission where you're even still able to manage the processes. So I think that was what they were trying to do. I agree with you when you said states had their own protocols at that time, and then in some cases it did look like the federal government was ignoring some of that.
Exactly.
And I think that was because they didn't understand how the workings were. If federal government said this is on our list, and for us these are exclusive what we'll call them now, essential service people, and we have already given them the right to move around. Of course, there will be no state government anywhere that would say, I won't stop you. I will stop you from coming in. Only thing the state government can do is, well, when you come in, these are my laid down rules.
Simple. Good. Yeah.
Sorry, let's get to Honorable Jerome Chukwuemeka.
Well, the whole discussion shows a visionless leadership. Because if I start from there, and then you are saying that there was no contemplation by federal government that there could be community transmission, it means that they didn't sit down to...
There was no contemplation? No, yes. I didn't say so.
No, that they were doing it at that level, not knowing that they will get a stage
No,
where...
I did not say that either.
Well, what did you say? So that I get to clear.
Okay, good.
Because,
I said all along, there had always been fear from the federal government in community transmission. They've always mentioned it, that as much as possible, they want to be able to contain this till we get to a point where the community transmission will be explosive, in the sense that while we're dealing with community transmission in Lagos, we're having in Kano, we're having in Kaduna, in explosive ways where we can't wrap it in. This is what they were trying to avoid.
Okay.
Not that they were thinking that they will never get to that point.
That's what I'm saying. If that was the position, what steps did they take as to incorporate state and local governments
as at that time
to ensure that when they get at this stage, So it also means that they were thinking without having that practical approach as to provide measures so that when they get to that stage, that's
But even
that's
at now,
taken care
what
of.
measures have they put in place?
That's what I'm saying. So,
no, even now,
nothing.
what exactly?
Nothing,
What they're
nothing.
saying is
So
that this fight now needs to be owned by state governments and local governments in fighting this going further. And I don't think that even when states outside there were putting out measures and plans, that they stopped them.
No, they didn't stop them. That the issue of the coveting the essential people. What was wrong if you have those people who were on the essential movement and you liaise with the state government?
Exactly.
Allow them to be aware. You just fly in people were flown into River State without any knowledge of the state governor because you feel they were not members of your party or for whatever political reasons. Now there couldn't be a partnership.
They were not party members.
Yes.
Please don't even start to insinuate.
I'm speaking my opinion.
No, but they were not. We saw the people that were arrested. They were not party members.
In other states where these people are going, you see partnership. You see Lagos, the federal government partnering with Lagos in everything they're doing. In River State,
I wonder why River State and the federal government are not partnering.
No, you're not coming now.
I'm not coming. I wonder why. Can you tell us why?
I'm trying to speak. If Lagos State is APC, federal government is APC.
Ebonyi is PDP.
That is what I'm saying.
They have a lot of partnership. Good. Cross River is PDP. They have a lot of partnership.
Cross River is what?
PDP.
They have okay. The point I'm making is that why did the federal government partner with all those states and then fail to partner with River State?
That's what I'm saying. I wonder why.
No,
why didn't they?
The reason is political. No, that reason. Because the 36 states and including Abuja, the federal capital territory, should have that joint meeting with the federal government. There should be action plan to ensure that devoid of anything, because we are talking of human life. That there should be relationship between the federal government, state government, and various local governments at all times to ensure that this pandemic is dealt with. But what do we see? We now see actions taken by divergent persons, people going their own ways. And what will be the end point? Friction. There will be conflict, because even no matter how best your approach is, if you do not communicate with me, if I do not synchronize that idea with mine, there should be bound to be conflict. And when that conflict arises, each party will begin to think that what he's doing is best, or what he's doing is better than what the other person is trying to do. So that is entirely wrong. We should begin to, de-emphasize political approaches to issues. I'm
looking at this like this. Sorry, let me just interject here. I mean, I've seen other states who put out their own measures at different times. Anambra put hers at one point. Ondo, Oyo, all of them did put out their whatever measures they needed to put out at that time. At what point was there any conflict with federal government over that? Was federal government telling them that, no, you can't do this? And as a matter of fact, I understand that when the federal government had the initial lockdown for Lagos, Ogun and Abuja, that the Ogun state government did ask for about a week before they joined them. And federal government had to wait till they were ready.
Now, most of these states you are mentioning is not as sensitive as River State.
Exactly.
River State is an oil center, and that's an economic nerve center of this country. So when you begin to mention Anambra,
I'm saying no. Hold on. Now. You did not tell me that. You said politics. You did not tell me economic center. You said politics was the reason why this was happening. And I'm trying to look at other states that were not really under the same party as the federal government, and how they also ran their own systems, and whether at any point the federal government will have entered Ondo or Oyo and said, look, no, you will do it as according to what we want, or will stop them or hinder them from taking out their own action plan. That's what I'm trying to say.
I was not the one who raised this opinion, because even when those oil workers who came to River State were stopped and then quarantined, people defined it as being political. That the state government was doing that because they didn't want what the federal government was doing. That was purely political. So it is not a new thing. So if, for example, River State government has said, look, we do not want people to enter our state, and then people are flying into River State, what was not a mere courtesy for which agency, whether it is Minister of Health, NCDC, to liaise and say, look, we are sending some oil workers. We have tested them. In fact, you sent an advance a copy of what you have done. What was that? What could that cost them? And now,
I think when we had that conversation, I don't know, just so that we're not repeating the same thing
here.
No,
that's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to, because you took me deep into that. The point I'm trying to make
let me pull you from it.
Yes, leadership entails a comprehensive approach to tackling issues. And if you are visionless, you find it difficult to arrive at a conclusive and meaningful end. Now, if they are beginning, I am also in line with anybody thinking on how to ease the lockdown. Because if you look at the various analysis, the lockdown has not really enhanced the reduction of people who are, contacting this COVID-19. So but what we need to do, my worry is that nothing has been put in place to ensure that when activities begin, that anybody could be saved. We need to enhance that partnership I'm talking of. When the federal government gave money to Lagos State and then NCDC, as if Lagos State and NCDC was only Nigeria, that was at the time there was like been a comprehensive meeting. The state council, national state council, what do they call it, would have sat down to draw a roadmap for this and say, look, we contemplate that this will definitely snowball into all the states, and then A, B, C, D of this state. This is what we want to do. This is the test center. This will be the outcome. But that we didn't see. Now, states we are now left on their own to begin to do what they intend to do, and then at any time what they were doing were conflict with what federal government was doing. You see a whole lot of crisis. I think they should have a rethinking and engineer the entire approach. Now you are asking that churches should be reopened with its full capacity. Is that, how can you guarantee that? And the schools are not reopening. I do not also support that schools should reopen now when the appropriate things have not been put in place. Even if churches are to reopen, allow a minimal number so that this control can take place. What is put in place? Who is doing this supervision? Everybody is doing his own. Everybody's on his own path, moving to an endless journey, and then people are dying. If this pandemic begin to ravage in a manner that we have seen it in the Western world, I think that Nigerians, Africa and Nigeria in particular, will be badly hit. So the federal government should call a meeting of all the state governors and draw a roadmap, precept by precept, and see how this thing can be organized. Nobody can stay one place and begin to say, look, the presidential task force has met, and then they are now reading out the guidelines to go, without putting up the appropriate measures on how to meet up with these are mere policy statements, no action. In Rivers State now, what actions have federal government taken to ensure that the COVID-19 is being controlled? Nothing, practically nothing, to the best of my knowledge. It's practically nothing, and that is also the way it's replicated in virtually all the states. Even when you say 10 billion has been given to Lagos State, what did they do with it? What measures did you put in place to ensure that this is what we are doing, this is what we are doing, this is what should not be done? Nothing is happening. So it is a leadership that needs to wake up. Leadership needs to be comprehensive, that needs to be broad-based, so that this thing can be controlled.
All right, got your thoughts on that? The news update comes up next. Just so it does. When we return, Mr. Haga will get to have your thoughts on this.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM. Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM. Board Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I'm Annie Abdul Salam. Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State has presented his nomination form for re-election under the All Progressives Congress to the President Muhammadu Buhari. Governor Obaseki made the presentation during a visit to the presidential villa in Abuja ahead of the APC governorship primary election scheduled for this month. Speaking with State House correspondents, the Edo State governor said he visited President Buhari because it will be wrong to assume or take things for granted, just as he blames Oshiomhole for being misguided. However, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, has said the Edo State governorship primaries will proceed as planned. Oshiomhole said this while speaking to newsmen after the NWC met with governors elected on the platform of the APC in Abuja. River State Governor Nyesom Wike has issued new directives to reopen schools, churches, and motor parks in the state as the coronavirus continues to spread across the country. Governor Wike, while speaking during the flag-off of the decontamination of public places, also warned that his government would not hesitate to prosecute owners of banks, shopping malls, restaurants, shops, and businesses that fail to enforce the wearing of face masks and social distancing in their premises. The governor said all public and private schools, markets, including places of worship and motor parks, will be decontaminated before his administration will consider reopening the economy of the state. COVID-19 cases in Nigeria has increased further with 416 new cases reported in the country. Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, in its latest update, said the new recorded cases were spread across 19 states and the FCT, with Lagos accounting for the highest number of infections for the day with 192 cases. Others are Edo with 41, Rivers with 33, Kaduna 30, Kwara 23, Nasarawa 18, Borno 17, FCT Abuja 14, Oyo 10, Katsina 7, Abia and Delta 5 each, Adamawa and Kano with 4 each, Imo and Ondo with 3 each, Benue, Bauchi and Ogun recorded 2 cases each, while Niger State recorded 1 case. According to the NCDC, Nigeria now has a total of 10,578 cases of COVID-19, with 3,122 cases treated and discharged, and 299 deaths. On the foreign scene, presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has blasted President Donald Trump and denounced systemic racism as he sought to reignite his White House campaign after weeks of coronavirus sequestration. Biden, who met with anti-racism protesters, took to Twitter to express his fury at Trump's response to the protests that have broken out nationwide over the death of George Floyd, an unarmed black man at the hands of a white Minnesota police officer. Biden, in a tweet after the president vowed to order an army crackdown on civil unrest gripping the United States, said the U.S. president is using the American military against the American people in violation of human rights. President Donald Trump vowed to order a military crackdown on the violent protests gripping the United States, saying he was sending thousands of troops onto the streets of the capital and threatening to deploy soldiers to states that are unable to regain control. The dramatic escalation came a week after the death of Minneapolis George Floyd, who was killed when a white police officer knelt on his neck, leading to the worst civil unrest in decades in New York, Los Angeles, and dozens of other American cities. And now to this sad one. Nigerian music legend Majakodunmi Fasheke, popularly known as Magic Fashek, is dead. Magic Fashek died aged 57. His death was confirmed by his manager, Omeneka Uzoma, who failed to disclose the cause of his death. Magic Fashek started his music career in the 80s and was popular for the 1988 album Prisoner of Conscience, which included the multiple award winning single Send Down the Rain. And that was the news update on Today 95.1 FM. Do not forget to take responsibility. Wash your hands frequently with soap on the running water. Avoid touching your face in high contact surfaces to prevent coronavirus. I am Annie. Have a good morning.
This is Today 95.1 FM. Port Harcourt, voice of the people. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
My correct listener, I salute you. Today for the studio, we get ogbonge person from Millennium Business Edge Company, where they rotate enter Nigeria to deliver plenty opportunity give people. Madam, welcome. Abeg, tell us about this Millennium Business Edge Company.
Thank you, my correct people. The Millennium Business Edge, now non-governmental organization, when join body with Century 21 Freedom Group International. We want help Nigerians to raise capital, to start new business, and people will need money to expand their existing business. Reason this matter, e good say after person don't work for 30 to 35 years, e no get anything to fall back on when you retire. I know say to collect loan from bank these days to do business no easy o. Now I make this company Millennium Business Edge come put this system where go make you get wetin oyibo call passive income every month. This campaign starts for 2016 and we don't record many success as we don't help plenty Nigerians start up their small businesses. As you dey listen so, make you know say na wetin person here na it better pass in neighbor. We are make you call this number
0703 041 9917. Again, 0703 041 9917.
Make you take reach us. Now, three categories of people now we dey work with. The first category na people wey need less than 1 million naira to start a business. The second one na people wey need between 1 million naira to 4 million naira. And the third one na people wey need 4 million naira to 15 million naira to start their businesses. And the sweet thing be say, you no go drop any collateral to collect this money. If you want be part of this opportunity, make you send yes to this number.
0703 041 9917. Again, 0703 041 9917.
This business no get age limit, whether you be man or you be woman, you be boy or girl, and you get mind for business, make you just send yes to this number.
0703 041 9917. Again, 0703 041 9917.
For this program, we still get experts when go teach you one-on-one on how to succeed for this business. So remember, say we dey find just 50 people. Just send yes. So
0703 041 9917. Again, 0703 041 9917.
when we select you, we go call you. We go still conduct training for our project office. If you don't get business or you want start new business, Millennium Business Edge go help you get the money. Just send yes to
0703 041 9917. Again, 0703 041 9917.
We dey expect everybody to grab this opportunity to make their life better. Una do.
Executive Council and the entire members of the Calabari Unity Project Initiative for Good Governance (CUPIG), in conjunction with our dynamic soul patron engineer Victor Obuzo JP, joyfully congratulate His Excellency the Executive Governor of Rivers State, Chief Barrister Yesom Ezewan Wike, CON GSSRS POS Africa, aka Mr. Quality Project, the DK Oya 1 of Ikwere Land, on your successful 1 year in office in your second tenure. Your Excellency, sir, we join the wonderful people of Rivers State, particularly the good people of Calabari Kingdom, to celebrate with you our dynamic governor for your meritorious and successful developmental projects being experienced by the good people of Rivers State, particularly the entire Calabari Kingdom. Sir, we commend your proactiveness in the fight against COVID-19, including palliative center across the entire state. You have fought insecurity to a standstill through the launch of Operation Sting, decongestion of Port Harcourt through the task force, and the appointment of a prominent Calabari son as the secretary to the state government, Dr. Tammy Danagugo, and other Calabari sons and daughters, as well as ensuring that a good candidate emerged as PDP state chairman in the person of Ambassador Desmond Akawo JP. It is our prayer that God continues to guide, protect, and sustain you with good health as you continue to deliver the dividends of democracy higher to the good people of Rivers State. This is signed by Honorable Comrade Jerry Oswald, the President General, Calabari Unity Project Initiative for Good Governance, and Honorable Akie Odien Wokuma, the Press Secretary, CUPIG.
To today's quest. Wake up. All the news and information you need in one go. Get started with the best of sports, lifestyle, analysis, and Annie. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM. From 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
Welcome back. 12 minutes has gone past 10, and you're still listening to Today 95.1 FM. We've been talking on the new guidelines from the PTF and our thoughts on some parts of it. I think I did say when we get back, we'll start with Emmy Fiahaga. Emmy?
Yes, I think we can remember vividly when the president was about locking down Lagos, Ogun, FCT. He made mention of something when he said that yes, states can apply their measure that is peculiar to them. That room was actually given to states, to bring a certain measures. I think that was the period Delta State government came with their total lockdown too, and later eased it and created 3 days market, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays, because that was what the people were protesting, that they need a day for market set aside for them. So that room was actually created. But for me, I think going by the guidelines issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, one thing I have come to understand in life is the way you are trying to prefer a solution to a problem. It is very better or very necessary that you look at the problem, critically analyze it, and put the people at the center of whatever thing you are doing, so that when the measures that are coming forth will be for the benefit and the good of the people. I think that is the reason the federal government came about with this curfew of 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. If you are a night traveler, you understand that at night there is actually a life. I remember there was a time when I was leaving Lagos to Delta State. I got to Rig Road midnight, and the life there was as if it was a daytime. What people were doing and all that. I've experienced that in Abuja to Gwagalada and some other places, even in Plateau. So I think putting that curfew between that 10 p.m., I believe is just to curtail that nightlife and night traveling. But as for the night traveling, the purpose is also defeated, because even the boundaries that are assumed to be shut down are open. You go there, you pay whatever you pay, the police or security, even tax force are collecting. Before, somebody said they were paying 500 naira to cross the borders of Rivers State, but immediately the tax force was inaugurated, the thing increased to 1,000 naira. Then I say it seems as if the police will collect 500, tax force will collect 500. So they're paying 1,000 naira to cross. So for the purpose of restricting the interstate movement, I think that one is out of it. But for the...
Well, I don't understand. What's out of it?
Because the boundaries are open.
Oh, okay.
Except you don't want to cross.
Okay.
Yes, if you are willing to cross,
you can cross.
You can cross.
You will cross. You
All
go
right.
to wherever you are going.
Okay,
to.
I get your point.
Yes, and then on the restriction of religion, I think for me it's apt. We are so crazy when it comes to issue of religion. We behave as if we are hypnotized. Whenever religion matters and mentioned, we pretend to become very sanctimonious, but in the real sense of life, we are not. If we go to religious houses, you will see how people pretended to love one another, hugging another, holy kiss, holy hug, holy this, holy that. So if you don't actually restrict that, people will continue that holy hugging and holy that is only limited to church arena. Immediately after that, you begin the other life that is actually keeping Nigeria in this state of poverty, corruption, and all that. So if a restriction is put on that, I will support it.
There's no restriction. They
It's
have
the regulation
lifted.
now.
They have lifted it. So that means people can now go to their various places of worship. Mosques are open now. Churches are open. That's what the new guideline has.
To their full capacity?
Yes.
On full capacity?
Yes.
That means we are not trying to curtail the community spreading of this COVID-19. We want to actually enforce the spreading. Because definitely there will
Well, they did explain that they just go once a week. They only go on Sundays and Fridays. So
even 1 hour.
But
having of 1
They
hour.
go every day.
But
They do every day.
no, I
Church
don't.
every day.
But they don't have this full capacity. Maybe on Sundays is when you see them filled up. On the mosques is on Fridays. You see them filled up. Of course, they go every day. And I think they said they already have guidelines within the traditional, the religious institutions as to how to regulate these people who come in, ensure there is social distancing, and ensure that they're sanitized and perhaps have their nose masks on while they're within those buildings.
If you go to some of
But
these
they're not
places,
restricting the numbers.
for me, they should restrict the numbers, because there are people who are actually complaining that thing they are wearing is bondage to them. People will just hang it here, say police come. It will just say that I have mine. But they are not using it. If you don't do that, holy hugging will continue. Holy kissing will also be
You
experienced.
have a problem
And
with this
by that-
kissing. You've said it over and over.
Yes, so it's what we
Not
say.
only kissing, holy.
Holy one.
That's why I say, but he has a problem. He said it like twice already.
Yes, I will continue to
For
emphasize on
emphasis.
it because I have not seen that in the Bible, but we are doing
That's
it.
not your problem.
Holy.
It doesn't
So,
matter. You don't have to say it. Allow them
It
practice.
concerns me now
Let them-
because somebody
let
will
them
do that holy
practice
kissing
what-
and come and shake me later, and at the end you spread something that I don't
Well,
want.
you don't even have to holy kiss and yet you shake
Uh-huh.
and then you still got COVID-19.
Yes, for now I'm maintaining my physical distancing, but when the holy kissing and all that, later you will also hug me because I'm in the midst of.
Well, don't hug them.
And
While you're there.
What if they want
While
to
you're
hug you,
there,
you
don't.
shift?
While you're there, don't hug
Some
them.
of them say they're immune. That provided they are going to church, they're immune.
They are immune from these things.
So
People are
that's
preaching
what
it.
they say.
Doc also mentioned something here that the communal life we live is a situation where somebody will be coming to shake you if you try to avoid it, will be suspecting you. We depend from various angles. Oh, you are thinking I want to kill you and all that. So you must allow them. So for me, I think there should be a regulation to limit the numbers of worshippers at a time.
All right.
If we must contain this spread. Then as for the local government, yes. I have always advocated that there should be horizontal communication. Since we have the presidential task force on COVID-19, we're supposed to have the state and the local government. The people resides in the community at the local level. If we have an effective communication mechanism at the local level to sensitize the people, to make them to understand that COVID-19 doesn't have legs, but it walks so fast, even than the legs, I think we'll be able to curtail it. But if we just leave the whole thing the way we left it for the federal government initially, I don't think it will help us. So the community should take charge. The traditional rulers should be involved. The local government, this is the time to see them performing because they are big performing local government chairman, working and creating all manner of development. This is the time to see the practical development. Spend the money on the people. That money you are collecting every month. Thank God the money is paid to them directly now. Let us see how you use this money on the people and for the people. Not the one you will create one project and the whole world will hear about it that you are bringing ultra-modern facility, toilet and all that. That is not the issue now. The point now is you must ensure that the people's life are protected. And how do you protect it is to ensure that you curtail the spread of the COVID-19 from the community to the local government and the state to complement the efforts of the local government. The federal issue of health is on the concurrent list. It's not exclusive list. It's not on the exclusive list, I mean to say. So the government at both levels, the federal, the state, and the local government should partake in it and ensure that life and property are protected. If not, if we spread it, nobody will be safe because you know somebody who goes to the local market, even when you are a governor, you are a president, and that person may know somebody who is closer to you. So at the end of the day, we see that we are all in the verge of contracting this COVID-19. So let us roll out the measures that we think that can engineer us to curtail it. And for the market, we can't just close that market perpetually. There are people who live on daily earnings. If you restrict them, you deny them their access to livelihood, they will want to come out and do anything. They will even prefer to have the COVID-19 and die rather than stay at home and die in hunger. So you allow these people, and how do you do that? Create smaller markets, adopt the measure of other states. We have it in Delta. Even the honorable members who represent various constituencies in Delta took part in that. The governor allowed them. He told them, bring out whatever measure you think you can do in your constituency. So I remember some of these House of Assembly members going back to their places and try to create other markets in order to avoid clustering of the people. And the people are there to that. And they are trading and they're still working on that. I think that measure can also be adopted and be implemented in Rivers State. If the assembly members working with the governor and the local government chairman and all that, creating smaller market for the people to trade. You can't continually to deny them access to livelihood. I think market is very important. And the market should be regulated. We have public places. Make it market. Now schools are not working. People are at home. You can turn them to smaller markets and people come out and sell and in there they are living from there. But if we continue to just do the short down, short this, short up, I don't think it will actually help us. It's not helping us and it won't help us.
So what's your position on the lockdown east curfew from 8 p.m. now to 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.?
Yes, like I said earlier, if you understood the night life and you are a night traveler, you will know that at night there is also a life. So if
that's what I'm saying. What's the difference with that life that they're banning and the life they've encouraged during the daytime?
The difference is that they believe that at night people goes to sleep. Some of these security people will go to sleep. So when it is daytime, people will see what you are doing. I believe that is what the federal government are trying to do. But at night, even some roads, go there, you will see that those people who are
assumably the people to protect the roads, you will see them even sleep and snoring, and you will just pass. But in the daytime, it is believed that they are awake, even when they will also collect. But in collecting, people will also see the level of collection.
I'm still perplexed with that because at least at night I see less people outside than I see during the daytime.
No matter
in some areas,
no matter the degree of
nightlife.
No.
If you are traveling, you will understand in some places you will see the
place that
nightlife.
you see a lot of people go there in the daytime. You probably see equal number of people or more.
Yes.
There are people who have peculiarities. Maybe it might be a job or something that they have to deal with within that time. If you're saying there's a curfew at that time, how do they get to these places?
Like for an example, I experienced something at Ikotu in Lagos State. A particular table, one person can be using that table. One will trade from morning to evening. The other person will continue from that evening to the next morning. They ration it. So in the daytime, it is believed that there is certain measure that will help, that will curtail this the spread of the virus.
That's
people will be there to regulate, but at the night,
if you're proactive enough, the same people that you have, who you think you have doing this in the daytime, why don't you have them doing the same thing at night time?
At night,
if that's the reason.
At night, I don't think it will be that effective.
Well, it doesn't just make sense to me if you're going to ask people to stay home from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Meanwhile, everybody's out on the streets pouring on each other. I mean, just have a look at what the banks look like these days. You understand. If people are allowed to do that during the daytime, what difference will 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. make? But, well, I guess for them, the hours of exposure matters. So maybe if they reduce the hours of exposure, we might continue to have minimal figures. Whether the federal government has made plans that are solid enough, I think that is something that is not debatable. We have seen countries all over the world who didn't even have a way to react to this. Along the line, they said, well, let's try this, let's sample that. I mean, we just keep going along. If there were areas we expect the federal government to have acted on better, obviously, definitely, there were ways, I think, and they should have done better. So this is not an excuse for them and say, okay, because other states, other countries were fumbling, you should have fumbled. But I don't see why state governments and local governments have not even activated this to the highest possible limits that they can, especially when it comes to local governments. I remember, Manuel, we spoke about this one time when I said the awareness that was created initially has seemed to just die down, especially from local governments. Did they think Corona was here for 2 weeks? She's here. And she's still here. So as long as possible, we want to make sure that you still conscientize your people as to the ravages of Corona and what they must do to stay away from it. But cut across local governments. Well, I'm here in River State, so I'm closer to the local governments here. I don't hear anything. And I want to believe it's the same thing that is happening in all 770-something plus local governments across Nigeria. They simply just felt, let's wait every month, every day. When we have new figures, then we announce it and we move on. It doesn't seem as if they've activated anything from local government levels to deal with these issues personally. I think the only local government areas, perhaps, that I would think have been a bit innovative will be the ones in Lagos. I've seen a few places where they also further went to have their own COVID-19 strategic map, so they can talk about certain areas within their local governments that are prone to high cases. So like maybe if this was Obiakpo in Lagos State now, Obiakpo will have her own and tell you that, Choba areas, we have high numbers from Choba areas. So if you're going to Choba areas, be wary. As of yesterday, we had 50 numbers coming from Choba area. So, just while you're there. And if I hear that now, and I'm going towards Choba, I'll be extra careful. I know that I have to sanitize as often as possible. I have got to wear a nose mask, and I'll enforce social distancing at least in that period when I'm in that region. I think that's about 1 or 2 local governments in Lagos. When I saw that, I was impressed with. But for other states, it just feels like, let's wait till we have this report every morning. Then we'll shout, hey, River State, 30-something numbers. Lagos State, 190. And then we move on. We deal with it again. And I'm not, thankfully, River State said they will fumigate all the areas, public spaces, before they open schools. A lot of us during the period of lockdown thought that was what should have happened then. Because I doubt how you will fumigate with us moving around.
See, there is something
another lockdown. So I can fumigate.
I think that for me, initially when this issue of COVID-19 came out, I think we were just thinking it was a child's play.
Yeah, we thought it was a couple of days.
Exactly.
We'll be
Because if you look at what is happening or what happened before and what is happening and what is going to happen, you realize that even the community transmission we are talking about, I heard about 20 local government areas already in for COVID-19 in some parts of the state, the country. And so you also realize the fact that at the center, that's why I said earlier, it appears that the PTF, or what do you call them, they're not even also serious with the issue. At the center, we are not seeing any pragmatic step. And that's why we're arguing, we're arguing initially that, look, if you are going to tackle a problem, we have been hearing of what has been happening in other parts of the world. You need to initially have that holistic approach in solving this problem. Because initially, what appeared here in Nigeria was that it was like a federal government dishing out directives that you must, look, we're in charge. You must do this, you must do that. And there is no proper coordination from the state government out to the local government level to ensure that these things are stepped. Because it is better you do it earlier, so that you'll be able to curtail the spread of this disease. So, but what we are seeing, it doesn't seem as if we are serious with this. And that's why I said, for me, I think that God will need to intervene. Otherwise, we are not serious here in this part of the world. We're not serious. Okay, look at the issue of borders we have been talking about. The federal government is aware, they are aware, particularly with the issue of River State, that people are moving freely. I was thinking that with this recent guideline, they would have also emphasized on the need for borders.
What are we talking about? They move. Don't they know? They know now. Didn't the governors just patrol left and right of Nigeria?
No, I mean from the committee on COVID at the center, they are aware that even they have given restriction on borders. Borders should be closed. They're also aware that people are moving freely.
The thing here.
So what is
the thing here is that if the people who are manning the borders, which is supposed to be a security outfit,
exactly,
are not arresting people,
good.
I don't think there's anything the COVID team could do.
The COVID is not working in isolation. They need to work hand in hand with the IG, with the police.
If the IG is not bringing people to them and like, okay, you've not, what will they do? They'll tell the IG.
The president should caution the IG. That's where the president comes in.
No. For me, I don't understand though.
I think that we already understand that commissioners of state polices are the ones that deploy.
Good.
So the onus should be on the commissioner of state police. So why we have figures of people moving? How come you haven't arrested anybody? River State Commissioner of Police, where are the people? Are you saying that nobody passes the borders? Akwa Ibom State Commissioner of Police. I think, yes, in what you said, maybe the IG, of course, being that hierarchy, can demand this from his from his commissioners.
Exactly.
But I think if none of this is done, really, I don't see where the committee itself, the PTF, has any power.
No, I'm thinking that the committee is not working in isolation. To bring this thing to bear, they're not working in isolation. Theirs is just to give out the logistics and the strategies. And of course, they need to the support of other people to bolster this campaign or to bolster this preventive measure.
See, I think if we even look at this holistically, when they put out measures like this, there wasn't any matching order that we have recruited this number of people to ensure this happens. I didn't hear that. It's just recently that I'm hearing about 700,000 or something number of people who are supposed to come on as volunteers that are going to help ensure certain policies and initiatives that they want to put on. But right from when they started, there was nothing like that from the center, where they said a dedicated number of people are going out to enforce this thing.
Beautiful.
So that when you're going out, you're looking for the men or women in blue who are supposed to be doing this.
Exactly.
No. But what they felt was that the state police forces, right, will localize these policies. So the state police force will now be you're supposed to wear your nose mask, you're supposed to social distance. But I don't know whether there was lack of communication, because it did seem as if that was also supposed to be their headache. The police didn't act like it was their problem. The civil defense didn't act like that was their problem. So even if you see people walking up and down the streets of River State without a nose mask, nobody was apprehending them.
Exactly, and that's the point I'm making. Because if you find a situation where you have a committee that is, strategically planning for this prevention of the spread of this virus, we also expect that, apart from the ruling out of measures in place to ensure that these things are strictly observed. For instance, the police I'm talking about, I mean, the committee on the prevention at the center is also supposed to be working hand in hand with the IG. In fact, I should even expect that the IG should be part of that committee, so that at the point of implementation, he comes in and gives marching order to his men. But we don't see anything. It appears they are working in isolation. All they do is roll out measures, rules, and regulations that nobody is implementing anywhere. And again, you also find a situation where, even when they try to do something, you find that NCDC is also there just trying to call numbers, just mention numbers. Today, I begin to wonder, is that what they are just there to do? To call numbers? No, but, just mention numbers.
What do you call them? National Center for Disease Control.
Yes.
So that's pretty much what they'll do. They'll call numbers and continue to prefer solutions, as in when you have a virus, they have to get virologists who will study it. They'll have to get components out of that can help shape the next policies that'll come from that. Aside from that, there's nothing else they can do.
Annie, in addition to that, just what you have said, I was thinking that at this point in time, that, NCDC, the committee on that, and even the federal government should have even taken more serious step beyond.
Like what? Tell me.
For instance,
like what?
For instance, we are supposed to have a team, specialists, maybe virology.
But they do.
Actually,
they do have.
working.
But they do have.
They have.
They do have.
What are they? So we've not heard from them.
That's what I'm saying. There is nothing new, and
We've
it's
not
not.
heard from
And it's
them.
not. And it's not. It is not strange, because even in advanced countries, they still have researchers who haven't found anything yet.
No. But we are getting repeating. I don't think, for me, I've not had anything like that in Nigeria.
Yes.
All right.
I think let us understand the approaches of the federal government right from the onset. When they came, they considered the cultural diversity and the interests of the states. That was why they say these are the measures from the federal government.
What has cultural diversity got to do with this now?
I'm coming. I will bring.
Why should federal government consider cultural diversity when we have a pandemic?
I'm coming. I will explain. That was why the federal government now looked at and told the states that these are the measures from the federal government, but the states are also empowered to bring their own measure, following the rules. The states are allowed to bring out their own measures, they take control. That was why you have the governors even acting when the presidential order has been issued. Governors also taking measures. So
what was saying that what is the meeting point between the measure the federal government is taking and that which the various states, the federal government as the regulator is supposed to sit down and say, look, all the states come, we have a pandemic which is so huge. Take steps. This is what we want to do. Let there be a kind of a synchronization of the various measures taken. If federal government is going to part B, the other state government is going to part A. This one is taking part C. At which point will they meet? Now you begin to see that conflicts are bound to exist. And once our states or even the federal government are beginning to perceive that, look, political influences are brought to bear. Now there are various donations. We have seen billions of naira, which individuals, not even the federal government, brought. How have they been managed? What have they been used for? You now send a committee to say, look, manage this. What are they doing? Taking River State, for example, apart from now that I'm hearing that there's an effective, if there is, tech centers at UPTH and the rest of them.
There is.
Yeah, now it exists. What measures we have to the local government areas? And these things are bound these transmissions are bound to happen in any of the local government areas. What are the steps taken?
According to the SGF, they situate the pandemic largely within 20 of the 774 local government areas in the country. They say these 20 now bear about 60% of the burden of COVID-19. It says majority of the confirmed cases are in a handful of local governments in the country. 20 out of the 774 local governments nationwide account for 60% of the pandemic.
That is what I'm saying. Now, the speculation that this may move away from one local government to the other is lacking.
Yeah.
Because all you need to do, you do not wait. Because there was a time River State was a zero COVID-19 state. There was nothing here. Today we have them. Other states existed in that nature. So you do not wait. A government that is proactive will not wait until it begins to happen, because it is a reality. It is not something that you will say is scientific. It's going to come this time. You are not seeing it. It's a very minute object that nobody can notice when it is existing, and then it's transmitted. You touch somebody, from what they're explaining, you touch a table, another person comes and touches that table, you have it. So what are the measures taken to ensure that these things are being controlled? I think that the federal government has not done much.
All right.
Vis-a-vis the amount of money that we are hearing.
Okay.
Including the ones brought by the private sector.
All right. What do you want to say?
Talking about the meeting point and the measures, the federal government rightly told Nigerians that they are doing everything possible to curtail the spread of the COVID at the top level. That it has not got to the community transmission level. That was why they left the states to ensure that they put up measure on ground, so that those measures will contain the spread. It won't get to the stage we are. But according to one thing I understand in life is that the information is a man's subconscious mind will always inform his character. Now, when the pandemic was at the federal level, let me use the word federal level, some of the governors, local government, and the people were saying it's a federal disease. It's a federal problem. So majority of them were just sleeping. They weren't doing anything until it got to this level we are. It now come to reality that yes, this thing is no longer a federal government problem. It is our problem. It is now, you see some of them are not trying to do something. So if you have information of such in your mind, you always act accordingly. So for me, I think, thank God some of them are waking up now, but we should always understand that whatever thing we are doing, if we fail to act on time, we will pay dearly for our inactions. And that is what we are seeing right now. In the beginning, I had the governor of Rivers State who was actually shouting and talking about flouting the laws that are put in place, even when people were given some kind of grants to move around. Other states accepted them, but rather than fight the process, the COVID, the disease, they left that and were fighting people. So at the end of the, what do you see? We now have the level of community transmission that we have seen right now. So I think we have all made mistakes. Let us accept that and begin to roll out the measures that will help us to curtail this pandemic and ensure that we live safe.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That will wrap up on that issue on COVID-19. Churches must reopen as schools remain shut. The NMA, though, says many Nigerians will suffer if governors take over COVID-19 response. I wonder why the NMA doesn't trust the governors to do the right thing.
Is that right?
NMA says many Nigerians will suffer if governors take over COVID-19 response. But there is something very valid about what Honorable Jerome says. You know, all the funds that has been contributed so far, and the CBN has been fair enough to, update Nigerians as to how much people are still donating as per that. I also understand that for the PTF, they can't have access to these funds. They have to go through a committee, a team approval, and the money doesn't go to them. The money goes straight to whatever agency or institution needs the funds directly. It doesn't go through them. What they will be giving, I think, is money for logistics or something like that. In any which case, my idea is that as long as they're partners in different states and they come up with issues as to why they need to have certain funds. I mean, if like the testing center here in Uniport has issues and it comes before the PTF and they decide, okay, we're going to dispatch to all the centers 300 million each or 150, I don't see how that will not come to every state that needs to. But what has always been the problem, what has been the level of transparency, so people can also see where those monies are going to and how they've directed the monies to these places. I think the day, Emmanuel, you and I spoke about it, that was what we did focus on, the transparency in the disbursement. We said it's a good thing that the PTF will not have access to the funds directly, course, but then even the people who are disbursing it would like to know where they're going to and how that money in itself was utilized eventually. Well, we'll wrap up on that. I don't think there's anything else, just that Nigerians can now stay out to 10 p.m. All right, it's 10:42. We'll take a quick break, then it's Real Talk.
What? Are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Real talk.
But
it is the head that is supposed to push the followers.
Today 95.1 FM will bring you insights, intrigues, and happenings on the local politics of the Niger Delta.
But if that property you have somewhere worth that 1 billion is tied to a fraud of state money, if you can prove it's your personal money, you didn't commit any crime.
Join us every weekday, 9:45 a.m. to 11 a.m. Real talk. Keeping it real.
Minutes gone past 10, and it's time for Real Talk. And for Real Talk, we're looking at River State begins decontamination exercise. We'll also look at the government launching the free bus scheme. The state will operate from 6:30 a.m. daily to 7 p.m. All right, let me see if I can run through this story. Exercise, all public places in the state will be decontaminated. He restated his administration's commitment to the protection of lives of everyone living and doing business in the state. He said, and I quote, "I have always said that the lives of Rivers people and those living and doing business in the state is paramount. Part of the reason why markets are still shut is because we have not decontaminated them. As we decontaminate the markets, particularly the ones in Obiakpor and Port Harcourt local government areas, traders will undertake to abide by all relevant protocols because we're talking about the lives of people. All public and private schools will also be decontaminated before schools open. Churches and motor parks will also be decontaminated," he stated. The governor reiterated that coronavirus is real and that people who denied its existence have started believing due to the number of persons that have died. He warned that the government will not allow recalcitrant persons to refuse to obey government advisories to affect law-abiding citizens with the virus. The issue of COVID-19 is real, and government will not hesitate to seal up and prosecute owners of banks, shopping malls, restaurants, but to put in their best to ensure that the entire state is decontaminated. All right, in his speech, so the administrator of the River State Waste Management Agency, Bro Felix Obua, said the decontamination team made up of medical and environmental experts were put in charge of that. We said, well, in decontamination, would we have to go on another lockdown, or would you decontaminate while people were still in the public places? They mentioned the public places right now that are still locked down. So maybe that works for public schools and private schools and then marketplaces. These are still locked down, and if these are the only areas, it will make sense. But if they're going to be decontaminating the entire River State, public places in River State, I'm wondering perhaps they might need to shut down some places maybe for per day. If they're going to do this area, they might shut down that region for the day while they decontaminate. Manuel.
Well, I want to believe they have their blueprint on how they are going to go about the decontamination exercise. But I expected it very greatly that they should have done this while we were on this lockdown. Was it how many times of lockdown? But the fact is that it wasn't done then. Obviously, I say maybe better late than never, because that would be a springboard to show that, yes, the virus itself won't have much wings to fly, as it were. Now, if you take in terms of decontaminating markets, I doubt, because the governor said, especially those in Obiakpor and Port Harcourt. I remember vividly that he was the one that shot oil mill in Obiakpor. He shot, let's say, my one in Port Harcourt, shot down Biama Market in Ahoda. I want to also believe that whatever is in the he-goat is in the ram.
No, not really.
So if certainly you want to they contaminate all these ones in Obiakwa and Port Harcourt. Please, Mbiama is also to be decontaminated. Because I don't think the one of Mbiama is different. No. These are major markets in Rivers State. Civities and all that, and you come with this decontamination.
All right, then, Dr. Emmanuel Wena.
Yeah, I think that, you see, when we talk about the issue of decontamination, apart from the fact that it's coming a bit belated, particularly in River State here, I'm also aware that it's not a lasting solution anyway. Because I remember that sometime Lagos was also on the spree contaminating public places. Yet we still have rising cases in Lagos. But for me, I think that if government has decided to do that as part of trial and error, it's a welcome development. But I think in doing that, you need to also map out strategies. I don't think the contamination will bring about lockdown again. All they need to do is to, if they are coming to maybe Rumokoro, they should have a specific period of doing that and ask people to stay clear. Because, those things that spraying, they are chemicals. If people also unduly inhale these things, it's also a form of sickness or disease. So they should ensure that at the period, maybe within 1 hour or 2 hours, when they will be decontaminating a particular place, people should stay clear and not to suggest total lockdown. And again, it should not also be only within Port Harcourt or Obiakpo. You may not know it. You may be surprised that this virus has found its way in the local communities. So all the marketplaces that have been locked down should be decontaminated. And there should be proper logistics in terms of actually, getting those public places, public schools and private schools. None should be exempted in doing that. So if that is done, we have the hope, but it has not been scientifically proved that that will kill the virus. It has not been scientifically proved. But I think maybe it will help in reducing other viruses that we are not aware of.
All right.
But the point I'm making is that we are just doing that just because we feel that where it's the right thing to do. I mean, if not for COVID-19, ordinarily we are supposed to do that intermittently from time to time, as part of health measure. But I think that government should ensure that even in the rural communities, after this decontamination within Port Harcourt and Obiakpo, this message should be taken, or the team should also go to, let there be a decentralization kind of thing. Let's have the different groups within the different local government areas. We have a lot to do. And that's why when Jerome talked about fund is necessary, because you need to mobilize the personnel that will do that. There will be logistics involved. They need to go, if it's possible, all the nooks and crannies, all the communities in River State, if they believe that this thing can kill the virus, let's have it in all the communities in River State, all the public places. None should be exempted. And I think with that, we may be having a sigh of relief. But the most important thing we need to re-emphasize is the fact that let's government do something about the borders. Why is it that borders are closed on paper, yet people are still moving freely? Because it will make a nonsense of the contamination thing. If you, after the contamination, we believe that the virus has been killed, and you just find somebody maybe probably coming from Abia State or Akwa Ibom or Delta, coming again with that same virus. It makes nonsense of the whole thing. So I want to appeal to the authorities concerned, especially the police, the Inspector General of Police, that is to ensure that there's strict compliance on his men. I mean, if you have people working under you and you can instill discipline on those people working under you, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. They are aware of what is happening at the borders. Because that will also ridicule whatever effort we are making here if people continuously move from one state to the other without appropriate checking on these people. I was thinking the idea of closing the border was to at least at the border you have people, health officials, who can also check on those who are coming with essential commodities. their status need to be ascertained even before they are allowed to go in with the essential, products. But I don't think that is happening. The fact that you are carrying the essential product doesn't mean you are free from coronavirus. So these things need to be taken into consideration, and that is why we have a lot of challenges. But my fear is that it appears that we are not yet ready. We are not yet ready to face these challenges that are being posed by the COVID-19 pandemic.
All right. Let me get to you. Okay, no, it's Honorable Jeremy now.
Well, if for me, it's worth commending. If for the state government, they have deemed it necessary to ensure that they decontaminate certain areas, we should queue. The only issue is that is it possible to decontaminate without any lockdown? But if we can have a day or two lockdown to achieve this, I don't see anything wrong with it. Because we've had lockdown and people stayed at home when there is nothing going
on outside,
and nothing much serious. Today, if we are saying we are going to decontaminate the various markets, especially in Obiakpo, the government is not saying they will limit it to Obiakpo and Port Harcourt, but they are saying especially, that means they will extend it. So limiting it within Obiakpo and Port Harcourt may not be very worthwhile. So there should be other local government areas where these things, in fact, virtually all the local government areas, because there are markets, and those who are coming to those local government areas are also coming from Port Harcourt and Obiakpo to go to market in the other areas. So the government should take the appropriate measure and ensure that those saddled with responsibility are going to do what they are assigned to do, so that the fund assigned for it will be appropriately managed. It's not an issue of raising funds for a particular thing, and those who are handling it will see it as a private business and begin to spend money in the way and manner in which they think. So I will totally support that there should be lockdown. If we are taking Obiakpo today, the entire area can have a one-day lockdown. We move to another area. So I don't know the kind of struggle and the battle which we are into. If we have had series of lockdown in all these weeks and months, and then now there are steps to see that at least, whether scientific or not scientific, a proactive approach to see whether this thing can be reduced. We have seen people decontaminating various areas in the Western world. Africa, our own is copy, and we are copying what is happening there. So if those measures have happened in those areas and we have copied it and that is to say that we want to reduce this, it's a practical approach. Yeah. It's worth commending. So other organizations, local government areas, various companies and agencies should key to that and support the state government to achieve this. If the citizens' contribution will be stay at home for 1 or 2 days to ensure that now you are coming to decontaminate the entire warfare, for example, stay at home. Whatever you want to do with appropriate notice, you stay. That day passes, they finish with your area. And that area too, they move down. So it is very necessary if this decontamination will remove those viruses in the schools, in the markets, including churches, and all sensitive areas. So we can also, street people and individuals within the various locality can also get the appropriate chemical used for this and also apply it in their various homes so that there can be peace. All we want is life, and when there is life, there's peace. The pandemic has gone beyond human control, I'm telling you.
All right. Let me get to you, Elifia Haga.
Contamination. I think the idea is worth appraising, but the issue here is that the first is now becoming the last, and we have taken the last as first. That shows policy somersault and kind of cluelessness. I think if the government of Rivers State actually locked us up several times and they didn't do anything, and it is now that they are now having a new dawn to see that there is need to decontaminate the public places, particularly the markets and all that, I think it's a good one. But I also have another problem when he said that within Obiakpos and all that. I knew quite well that the last lockdown, I knew 1 or 2 persons whom I saw who were leaving Port Harcourt a day before the lockdown, that they were going to their villages and some were even going to their relatives, that they can't be here and be locked down. So they are going there after the lockdown, they will return. So that means the virus may have been transported also to some of these villages, to some of these other local governments. So if we are trying to decontaminate Obiakpo after we finished, then we have those persons trooping in again from Okrika, Eche, and the rest of them. That means we are back to square one. I think the governor should always have a holistic approach to whatever things that he's doing. This is a kind of centralization of idea where everything is obiakpo faga. I think it calls for
Yeah,
kind
and
of
maybe
concern.
that's where they want to start from, but
Yeah,
they
they
will
want to start
advance
there,
to other
advance.
places.
Exactly.
The way you say we are
Because you said
starting,
especially in
where you
Obiampo and
yes,
Val.
yes, when you say we are starting from here, the people will understand. But you say especially Obiakpo and Faga.
Yeah, when you say
And
especially,
that's what-
that's what I think.
Yes,
I don't think that means that.
It won't. It might not. Probably.
He said especially this area.
Especially this
But
area.
remember again, they did say that they will fumigate all of River State.
Yes.
Yes.
They said so.
I agree with them,
Okay.
and I pray that they should do it because we have several promises. Like sometimes, if you look at the policies and whatever measures this government of Rivers is taking, sometimes they say good morning, you will need to check your clock, go to the outside and see if it's actually money. If not, we discover that they are greeting you good morning at night, and they are greeting you good night at morning. So I think if they are trying to do this, it's a welcome development, but let us keep politics away and see governance as the most important things. From there, the people will like you, the people will support you, and the people will appraise you. But if we are beginning to do what we ought to have done earlier, thinking that it doesn't matter, then later when we have exhausted all our energies, then we now realize that, oh, we have to have done this, I will do it. I think it's not that okay for me. Let's do things right.
All right. Then the free buses, Emmanuel. It has started 6:30 in the morning to 7 p.m. daily. That's when these buses will be plying. And the idea is that they're able to, soften alleviate some of the sufferings that Rivers people are going through at the moment because of the pandemic. Let me just quickly read this for you. It says here that it will operate from 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. The free bus scheme is to cushion the effect of the pandemic on citizens. Inaugurating the scheme in Port Harcourt, Commissioner for Transport, Mr. Sonny Ejeko, commended the state governor for the initiative, which is the first of its kind in the country. Mr. Ejeko stated that the buses will ply Obiakpo, Port Harcourt, Oyibo, and LMA local government areas as a pilot scheme. He says with the launch of this scheme, you can feel the pulse of a governor that is concerned about the health and welfare of Rivers people. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Wike has done so much to show love for his people. You can remember that in terms of palliatives, he spent, let's leave all of that. He said that 28 luxury buses will operate strictly in line with advisories on social distancing, use of hand sanitizers, and wearing of face masks. He says the bus will pick and drop passengers only at designated bus stops. And he added that the buses will operate from 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. He called on Rivers people to appreciate the fact that Governor Wike is desirous to make sure that they do not suffer during this period. All right. First of all, I'll just say what feels distasteful to me is the need to eulogize the governor so much over this. I mean, he's the commissioner for transport, for heaven's sake. Is he not bringing any innovation to the system? The reason he was made commissioner is because they felt he had some expertise or he could handle certain things. The way he totally disowned this initiative and distanced himself away from it, was like COVID and me. Nothing, didn't even own a bit of it or say our administration or something. It was the governor that brought this bright idea. Let's appreciate him. Let's anyways, man, your thoughts?
Annie, you shouldn't be so much worried. You remember the Commissioner for Information was asked about the UPTH. No, the testing center.
He said
BMH has, but it's not aware of the UPTH.
Doesn't event like that exist there?
So I think that's it. It's stifling of initiatives, but that's the way they want to, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why some people like us may not be able to work for government. I tell you. Now, you see the free bus services. Fine.
Laudable.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
I tell you. But the snag I have, I know that it seems to defy the logic of life, that it's going to be free. Free completely in that nobody will be paying and all that. And that means government certainly will just be carrying everything. And then you also pay those
Did you say it's free?
Yeah, it's free.
That's what they said.
It's free.
That's what they said. And you see, that's what I'm just saying because I don't know. If it's free, how will it be? That I mean, whatever. How will you be maintaining it? Everything. Well, that's good because it's a plan of government for the people. But what we're only saying is that let it be sustained. Because I have a problem with anything that is free. It doesn't run through its course. When it's supposed, the duration doesn't last. And so, if government knows that the ingenuity is going to apply or bring to bear on these particular bus services, fine, let them do it. But as for the governor, I think he has done well because the taxi drivers or the bus drivers have been told on how many persons to carry. And all that. It seems to be a very Herculean task because also there are no grants given to them by government. And after they load, you see task force here and there collecting this and that for them. Will they die for the people?
All right, Mano, got your thoughts there.
Yeah, and when you asked that question, I was trying to tell myself not to venture into that area because I think that the commissioner said that just to probably protect his job. We were told that you need to be 100% loyal. And I was thinking that in an executive council meeting, it's where you have cross-fertilization of ideas, where, initiatives, are being brought on the floor of the meeting and considered by the entire members. But be that as it may, I don't want to go too much on that. But it's in, first, let me commend the governor that he has done this at this point in time. It's actually needed. It's something we have been having. I remember when Governor Dele was governor, he did something like that, even Governor Mechi. So it's not also the first of its kind. But maybe very peculiar because of the COVID problem we have now. Actually, if you consider most welfare states, government need to have some interventions. It's not out of place. There is need for intervention. And that is why some of us have argued that there is need for that amalgam between the private sector and the state. There should be that kind of collaboration. No society has developed entirely based on market forces. And no society, of course, has developed entirely based on state command structure. So government intermittently comes in, to cushion the effects of the hardship on the people. But I must say that, like Emmanuel said, the sustainability of that program, which ordinarily is supposed to be a lasting one, so that people can heave a sigh of relief. And again, because it is free, I just want to believe that government will continuously sustain that. Government will ensure that these buses, because we have cases where those who are in the field, try to decide which route they will take. I hope that they have also mapped out the strategic routes that can also take into consideration the geographical spread of Port Harcourt. There are some places that people are still in those new areas. These buses should be able to cover them. There should be a kind of strategy that ensure that all the nooks and crannies of Port Harcourt are covered with these buses, and not to concentrate it on a particular place, maybe Rumokoro to Choba. There should be a spread so that it gives a sense of belonging to everybody living within the metropolis of Port Harcourt. And my worry again is with the regulations in terms of the spread. I see a situation where you have a sea of commuter somewhere, and all of a sudden the bus appears.
What happens to the rest of us?
And sometimes even when you are struggling to go in, maybe the first 12 or the first 20, your nose mask will just pull off. People are struggling because it's something that is free. And in that process of struggling, there could be contact. Somebody could cough and release this thing to everybody. The aim is defeated. That's my worry. Because what it means therefore now is that a lot of people will wait till when is that bus coming? Will wait. And they will wait, and you see a sea of commuters waiting for the bus. And as soon as the bus comes, oh boy, some people will even be trying to jump through the window. There will be that struggle. And in the process, you and I be mindful of your nose mark, it might pull off. So that's my worry. And sometimes too, I've just discovered that, look, people putting on nose mark, that is called nose or face mark. But it's found that it is now jaw mask. I oftentimes see two people discussing very close. Two of them are putting it here on the jaw, but they are discussing very close to each other. And I begin to wonder what's the essence of you just hang your nose mark on your jaw like that. It's not for the jaw, And so I see a situation where as soon as maybe people gain entrance to the bus, they will just remove it. And anything can happen at that point. So it requires strict monitoring on the part of those who are on the field, maybe the driver, the bus conductor.
Well, for me, it's worth commending, especially to say that it is free. Now, how can these free buses operate? Because even when we argue that Amechi had it and the Peter Dudley had it, then they had minimal payment. That is why when they are saying this is the first of its kind. It's the first of its kind. It's the first of its kind in River State. There has not been any government in this state that has brought buses. That is,
but there hasn't been a pandemic.
That's what I'm saying. It's the first of its kind because the nature of the pandemic.
Exactly.
The point I'm making is that I am not in support of this free nature. That's the area I'm going.
Okay.
But to say it's the first of its kind, it is because when Governor Peter Dudley brought buses, they were paying money. They used to have tickets. Yes, when I met you
but
also
so we were subsidized.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes. And then
which makes sense.
So this one that they have brought now, they say it's free. Is the first of its kind in River State. Ordinarily speaking, if that can be achieved and maintained, it's wonderful. But is it possible? Because they are going to fuel the car.
They have to pay the drivers.
The
maintenance of the buses.
Of the buses. The tires will punch when they are moving. You will see oil will short now. And the government protocol, you do applications and series of applications before you even get money. And even the drivers themselves, I'm telling you, will also find a means of collecting money from these passengers.
If they're not paying.
If you are not paying, don't worry, we'll not carry you. If you are not paying, we'll not carry you. If these buses become very free, and then there's a regulation from state government to ensure that it is free from beginning to the end, most of these drivers will be wary. They will be weak in going to work. Most of them will not even want to like the work because they will not just purely depend on the salary being paid to them, and most of them will not. So if this thing is provided and then there is a little token anybody is paying, a minimized and a minimized rate, that will be very wonderful. But the very good aspect of it is that at least these buses will ensure that when you say do not park yourself into a bus, they can regulate that. Because they can say, look, we are not carrying more than 5-10 passengers in a bus. Sit here, do not sit here. Which other vehicles will may not do. But what doctor is saying now is very, very correct because it is free. So many people, if you are loading from your warfare to Maitre, they will not enter any keke. They will not enter any other bus. They will say, look, we're waiting for this free bus. So.
Good.
And when the free bus come, is it a free bus stop? You are going to have task force people that will say no, one after the other. Won't there be rush? So you look at this. So government needs to sit back and then have a holistic plan on how to regulate this. If they achieve this, it's what commendable. If the government is able to arrive this, because it will be the first of its kind, because this has never happened. But can that in actual reality, is it practicable? I see that it's a mirage. It may not be practicable. But if the government can take steps to ensure that this thing will work, if it works, it becomes free and the buses are maintained and they are kept on the road and applications for funds are made available for maintenance of these vehicles, I think it's what commendable. Okay. It's something that anybody can wake up and say, look, government has tried.
Yes. All right then. Thank you very much. And then finally, Emifia Haga, real quickly now.
Yes. I will begin by answering your question. The commissioner we spoke as the one who distanced himself from the whole idea. It reminds me of a philosophical description of a Machiavellian scenario where the king, the ruling king, ensures that everybody under him and around him fears him whenever he's mentioned. So you must praise him. you must sing his praises in whatever thing you do. And this is, I think, that answers that question.
How?
He needs to explain.
How?
He answered the reasons why the commissioner will have
just-
to distance himself from a policy under his ministry. Something that he was supposed to, talk as if it's the brainchild, even behind the whatever thing that they brought forward. He's telling you the idea of the governor as if he's not even a member
All
of
right.
the
Okay,
cabinet.
we got it. Move on.
I think for this major, it's good because Rivers are suffering, no job. They are only living on the little things they are fending for themselves. And if the government have seen that, yes, there is need to cushion this or to ameliorate this suffering of the River State, that even the state government is doing nothing about for some times now, I think it's a good one. I applaud them. But is this sustainable? Looking at the whole thing, this is one of the desperate approach, I will call it, to control certain events that have happened. Call it damage control. In doing this, if we are not careful enough, I think we'll create more problem. I understand our people. Anything free is always accompanied by rush. We rush. We want to get it first before the next person. Stampede me if we come. If we continue that the thing is free, and if I saw two of the buses parked at Rumokoro, the one that are taking the LMA route, two. And if you consider the populations of persons who are living between the Rumokoro to the LMR, you know that those two buses is another means to create another problem because the buses will not be enough. And it is free people who want to bought that one. So I think the River State government should go back and plan properly and come up with an idea so that people will see that they actually meant well and they want to protect lives and property against COVID-19. These rush things that we are seeing to control certain things that we think are done wrong initially is not the best way to go.
All right, then. Got your thoughts there. And this is where we want to open the phone lines. So anybody else who wants to contribute to the issues we've been talking about today, now you can call the numbers to dial 0810951091 or 081700000951. With these numbers, you can reach the studio. Send us messages on our WhatsApp platform and text message. The number to that platform is 07 to both platforms is 070-1933-9962. That's either WhatsApp or text message 070-1933-9962. And of course, you can also tweet at us. Our Twitter handle is @TodayFM951. @TodayFM951 on Facebook. We are Today 95.1 FM. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Good morning, Annie.
Yes, please. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Otis Angel, calling from Oyi.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, what the governor has done is good. Its advantages outweighs the advantages. In the sense that, really, like Ogema has said, nothing, in a logical way, you understand that anything free does not work well at the end. So that is the logistics of life. Means that if it is free, it's not going to go well. As time goes on, there will be a kind of stampede. When we start witnessing the two people were stampede at this, that then it becomes even hazardous, not instead of getting
alleviating our sufferings.
Yes, so I don't see it to be. Even it could have been better for him to use that this morning and even pay for the ticket where this transporters used to pay on daily basis, so that it will subsidize the transportation for the populace, for the public, instead of using this. In fact, it's creating more harm. If they're taking a small area of land, you see they will go for those vehicles of the government. It's like any little thing the government does that is try to, people, the protesters, they only look for the vehicles, to harm. So I don't see it good. At the end of it all, highest 2 months, they will stop with
right.
Okay, who will pay those people that will use the vehicles? Because the only person that gets there will just drop this thing. Who will pay those people? So it's not good to be free like that. You could have, I think, what of the sanitizers that they will be using in the vehicle? Who will pay for the sanitizers? Are they also free? So I don't see it good. It's rather that create element of complication. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Hello, Today 95.1 FM.
Hello, Annie. Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Eddie, calling from Port.
All right, great to have you. Go ahead.
Yes, let me look at the realization by the federal government giving us 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I look at it as countering the lockdown set up by the state government to curtail this problem. What is there that federal government sees that, look, this lockdown realization should start by 10 p.m. To me, it's uncalled for. It's unnecessary. What happened on the daytime? Or is there any other thing they are planning that they want to carry out within that period? Probably they should tell us. For me, this stylistic style of leadership of APC is indeed worrisome. For me, personally, it's worrisome. It's uncalled for me. So looking at the state government ruling out buses and also telling us that, look, they have to fumigate market and schools. I know that nothing good in this state that APC will ever apply. It's the first paramount, life, like it or not.
But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be one-man squad. It shouldn't.
Because there will be no help from whether free or no free. I believe even if tomorrow he said we should pay 1,500 naira, we can still comply. But for now,
it says, good day, Annie and my brothers, Honorable Jerome. My name is Tempo Hinacho, texting from, you didn't say Iguruta. Annie, let me congratulate Emmanuel Obuna for coming a bit early. It's a welcome development. Considering the issue of free buses, I sincerely thank Governor Wike for the initiative. Where I am right now, one just passed me now. The decontamination is worth endeavoring for. But the way in which it will be carried out is what should be a problem. The governor has just said that the decontamination is going to start with 2 overrated local government areas, forgetting that there are also mini markets in other local governments areas of the state. Or does he mean that they should start trading? Perhaps later he'll order their decontamination. Governor should have a replan over the decontamination thing. All right, Temple, we heard you. Good morning, Annie. In summary, the opening of churches is a woe. It can't be sustained because it's free. But talking about transmission of the virus, they're actually doing fine. Two conductors do the temperature check. Use your face mask and sanitizers available, according to some of my colleagues that used the bus yesterday, which means that if everyone is detected, it will be easy to take the person from there to the isolation center. Thanks, Sages. Stephen is my name. Good morning, Annie. I am Dolphin. I think your analysts have shown that they didn't follow federal government's fight against COVID-19 at the initial time. If they have, they would know that before the inauguration of the task force, Federal Ministry of Health trained health workers from different states at Lagos and even advised other states to send observers to monitor and learn how to fight in the fight against COVID. And guidelines and objectives were put in place. What happened was that most states never took opportunity of this. You would remember PDP held rallies in Rivers and Oyo telling Nigerians COVID is exaggerated by federal government and how it's a scam. Most state governors came in when they had the president in his first broadcast confirming the grants given to Lagos for the fight. This originated the spiritual fight between the federal government and River State governor. PTF holds meetings with Nigerian Governors Forum regularly to discuss and synchronize their policy with the federal government. Secondly, CDS is equivalent to the NCDC, and you don't hear from the NCDC, which you don't hear them. NCDC was brought into the federal government's task force to remove doubts from the public that they are part of the task and not to implement the fight. CDC makes recommendation and the government implement it. So NCDC's work is to test and advise and not implement or regulate. Thirdly, the time was dropped for most offices close at the regular 5 p.m. Most states run offices to close by 3 p.m. because of the 8 p.m. curfew to allow workers get to their house before 8 p.m., which reduced productivity. Yeah, but still, why 10 p.m.? With all of that, why didn't you just allow people to go home when they wanted? This here says, good morning, everyone in the house. The idea is very good, but they should think about the life that is entering the bus too. If it's safe for them, they should take money and not free so that COVID-19 will not be too much in the States. Thanks, Prince from Orazi. Prince says they should take money because if it's free, everybody will come in. And that's where he has fears. Good morning, Annie. I salute Governor Wike for the buses. You guys in the studio complain and worry for nothing, as if the government doesn't think and put things into consideration. Let's give them benefit of doubt. Erasmus, Nicholas, they do, they think, but they can't think it all. Even the governor and the president have said it several times. They need other people's opinion too. So they're not custodians of knowledge. So this is what happens usually. Good morning, Annie, and all the guests. There's a lot of ignorance displayed about the workings of government and the fight against COVID-19. The federal government, through the PTF, coordinates the national action, including policy formulation, strategy, and provision of logistics. The states, local governments, and communities are saddled with the actual responsibility to enforce compliance based on local peculiarities. To say or think there is no interaction between the federal government and states regularly in assessing and evaluating the situation is speaking in ignorance. The Minister of Health says that there is a daily virtual meeting of the Council on Health. That council comprises the Minister of Health and all the state commissioners of health. Also, according to the PTF, this Council of State, comprising the president and the state governors, meet regularly, albeit virtually, since this pandemic. Public health is a responsibility of the primary healthcare services, which is the responsibility of states. You do not therefore expect to see federal government response physically by presence of federal personnel on ground directing actions in states, as Dr. Warner keeps wanting us to see. Federal government does not have such power such manpower, you said, in the first place. Bethel, you sent that in from Port Harcourt. But we did mention the fact that federal government has the police, has the
exactly.
civil defense, and if these people were directed to enforce some of these laws that they have put in place, like the nose mask, I mean, even just the simple one of nose mask. And we also understand that these are the group of people who are supposed to be at the boundaries, ensuring that there isn't interstate travel.
Exactly.
And yet we see that there's interstate travel all year, or should I say all the months through. And if they're failing, obviously federal government needs to take that responsibility, because these are direct chains to the federal government.
That's right.
Good morning, Annie. The guest in the studio and the guest in the studio, if any man who is honest with himself will know that Wike has done absolutely well in the fight against COVID-19 among all the other governors in the state. He did it single-handedly without federal help. And it's funny that someone will see contribute politically with every discussion and also say we shouldn't politicize this. Uday, you said this from Dubai. All right. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Annie.
Yes, good morning. What's your name?
Okay, this is Brown. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Brown from Port Harcourt.
Actually, yes, extend greetings to the people in the studio. Actually, there is a saying in the scripture that obedience is better than sacrifice. And that holds the truth. Because what I just want to contribute to what Emie was saying. Because if it comes to federal government has already given an open hand for religious gatherings and mosques and so forth to open and come back to its normal activities. However, if the members of the religious organizations obey the restrictions, I think it will go far away. Yes, even if there are, just as Emie was saying that holy kisses, hugging and all those things. If there are restrictions for this period of time, even if those religious institutions, that the members of the church, after the church or before the church, they want to hold and gather and kiss or whatever, hug together, greet, shake hands, they can restrict it for this period of time. They can hold their meetings, perhaps with a limited number of people. They can position the days when their members will hold meeting. It must not be that everybody will come at the same time. So with those restrictions, with those precautions, activities can still be held and everybody will be at safe. Hence, there are provisions for hand washing and sanitizing at the premises of those religious places and those mask wearing. Those ones will also help. Then in the issue of the River State, the transportation issue, I don't see anything wrong in that. I don't see anything there. I don't think there will be a rush if there is a proper plan. Like I remember for a few years ago when there is a bus that used to run from Port Harcourt to Obibo, people that come out to wait for the free bus, they used to queue at the line, like people that queue at the ATM. If you come first, you stay first. If you come second, you stay behind the other person. You just line up like that. So that when the bus comes out, it will not be a rush. People will enter in a single file according to how you come out.
All right,
so
then.
with those measures, if the government apply these measures, it will go a long way to curtail the spread.
All right, then.
Yeah, that's my contribution.
Thank you
on
very much for your contribution. Annie, I think the PTF is out of ideas. The churches have Sundays while the schools are still closed. What is the difference? The adjustment of curfew time is a sign of death of ideas. Nothing to be achieved from that. I think we're gradually moving to your tents or citizens. If you die, you die. If you survive, well, you survive. Honesty, you sent that in from Port Harcourt. Hello, today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. What's your name?
This is Eda.
All right, good to have you.
You see, what the federal government has just done by opening churches, you know, we've been shouting for this long ago. Of course, my own church, since we're in River State, we have been keeping to observing the social distance. So, but you know, so many people have been calling open churches, this and that, and eventually the federal government has decided now to suspend. I don't know where those people are now, whether they will not antagonize the federal government again. You see, it's quite unfortunate that people always kick against the body of Christ. But God is with every action of man. The day he will raise judgment on everybody, nobody will be there to witness the judgment he's raining to each person. Good luck to them. Now, on the area of the lockdown, people did not understand the federal government this time. They said from 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. I heard a story in Lagos currently because of this 8 o'clock this thing. You know, Lagos is always observing this federal government policy. You know that so many people sleep in bus stops because once it's 8:39, police will stop even if they don't stop, they will be collecting outrageous money. So for that reason, most transporters will vacate the road from 9 o'clock. Everywhere it is that you will not be seeing people trekking. And if you are going for very far, you have no option than to sleep in the bus stop. So that was why the federal government has seen this. I know that they want to have a federal agency. You know, remember that of River State is 8 o'clock. But for the fact that the implementers are federal agency, I am sure they will go for 10 o'clock. Because when the governor announced that the 8 o'clock starts today, then they said I started operating since last week because of the federal one that is on. So now that the federal one, I don't know. You know, the Nigerian police and other security, they are looking for every avenue to make money. You know, this pandemic has been giving them a powerful lifeline. That is why many of them will build houses and buy vehicles.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much. We got your thoughts there. Annie, why is it that anything the governor of River State will do always will be condemned by members of APC? I don't understand these people. Ambassador Casey Williams is sent that in. Annie, why is one of your guests always bringing political coloration to everything? On fumigation, he said the first is now the last. And he did not condemn the federal government that brought us to where we are when she refused to shut down our airspace on free buses. He said it's face-saving mechanism. These politicians will take us nowhere. Why not bring up measures to better these initiatives like the other guests made useful suggestions to discuss? And I really appreciate them. Bob, you sent this in. Good morning, everyone. The River State government planning to decontaminate public places is not something any sensible person should praise the governor for doing. He should have done this in the first day he imposed a lockdown in Falga and Obiako on the free buses. I sense danger. There will be a stampede as a result of this. The rush to get into the buses will defy all the social distancing guidelines the state government is trying to promote in curtailing the COVID-19 pandemic. The marginalization the governor is complaining about the federal government he's doing same year with other local governments in the state. Thomas, you sent that in. Any markets and schools, etc., that was locked down since 3 months. Who told us that coronavirus lifespan is 8 hours? It will die natural. Why is River State government fumigating? Ungozi, you send that in from Iguruta. Annie, I know that COVID-19 is called novel because it's new. No nation has been able to provide a perfect fight against this pandemic. Even the most advanced nations. Fumigating the public spaces now is a good idea. No one has the right approach yet. Ogidi Casey, you send that in. From Comrade Austin Omachi Webilo, he said, good day, Annie. You see, 2 times UK Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. Who is Benjamin Disraeli? I said, as a leader. Okay, 2-time UK Prime Minister.
Okay.
I thought he was saying, that's why I was confused. Said, as a leader, if you're leading and the citizenry you're leading always complains of hunger and starvation and others, such a leader is only walking alone. And now that the governor is having a second thought in his governance, God will help him. Annie, think with me. All right. Hi, Annie and everyone in the studio. I support the opening of churches. I look forward to more openings. We can't continue running when we can't find what is chasing us. One of your guests said there is nothing like holy. Please tell him to read 2 Corinthians 13 verses 12 if possible with the King James Version. Saket Stevens, he said there's not like holy kiss. So they say you should go and read that part. You see it. Annie, have you noticed that no single step that Wike has taken against this pandemic, that no mistakes from A to Z, task force everywhere? This man is too jittery just for the federal government's virus money. Deacon Fine, you sent that from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Annie. The letter that Colonel Omar, we're not talking about Colonel Omar, Auntie and the guest, or is that Aniti? I don't understand. I'll take it to mean auntie. And the guests. I greet you all. I'm Midtown Happy from Ahoda, Western Akinima. This bus being given by the River State government should be also given to the other local government areas. Or let the governor also send one of the bus to Mbiama where he closed the market. We need one. God bless you for all your good works. The government should have charged a flat rate. This is from Kingsley. Annie, good morning. These free buses from the government is good and bad. If he wants to help reverse people, let him make it 20 naira only. Ogonna from Pataka to send this in. Annie, this is why I and the likes of Fireborn, Isaiah Lawson, including Undukwe Emmanuel, was saying that the lockdown measure was valueless and wasteful. Hence, disinfection measures were not carried out, especially fumigation. These measures of fumigating places will have been done before the relaxation of the lockdown. But now that he has come to the disinfection, it should be done and done very well without sentiments, because he has very much mentioned Obiakpo and Falga. For the free bus, I think it will be free for this period. And after now, there will be payments. We have seen it in that time of Dr. Peter Odeli Elibo from Ahoda. Well, I don't know why Elibo decided... I don't know why Ile dragged you along. He says all of you are in that category. He said all of us, plus Emmanuel said it. All right, we'll take one last call. We've got to go. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Sorry. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Hello, Annie.
Good morning. What's your name?
Mr. John from Port Harcourt.
All right, Mr. John, go ahead.
Yes, your discussants, analysts, they have tried their best, but I think they didn't follow this whole, fight from the beginning.
All right.
If they have been very, vigilant on followed everything from the beginning, they would have discovered that, just as one of the writers said, the federal government has been, at the forefront by training all the doctors from all the states, to handle in their various states. And not only that, if you look at the figures, you discover that we have maintained, the low-level fatality, which is also a plus.
All right.
Initially, we didn't believe that Nigeria, can handle this disease. But to the surprise of many of us, we have tried to maintain low-level fatality and look at the recovery rate. So I think NCDC deserves some, credit and pat on the back, not condemnation, like some of your guys are doing.
Okay, thank you.
And for the state bosses, that bus, I don't see sustainability there. I don't see any laid down plan as to how to sustain it.
That's where we wrap up on the show. Dr. Emmanuel Wona.
Yeah, there's also need for that committee to follow up, particularly with regard to the borders, restriction on borders. And for the buses, once again, I commend the governor. But I want to say that measures should be taken in place to avoid stampede. And there should also be measures put in place to ensure that people strictly adhere to the rules and regulations, concerning the prevention of the spread of COVID-19.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel Wona, lecturer, Department of Political Science.
As much as the control of COVID-19 is concerned, there may not be any best approach to handling it, but that actions are taken precept by precept to ensure that something good is done and that the life of Rivers people are saved. Now, if we have bosses, I'm of the opinion to achieve this COVID-19 struggle and fight, there must be synergy between the federal government and strategies should be mapped out so that all persons within the nationality of Nigeria.
The suffering of the people, particularly those who reside in rivers and rivers indigents. But in doing so, let us do with caution. In Edo State, the governor ordered that ticketing, collections, and all that should stop in order to encourage the commercial driver. In Cross River, we saw where taxis, collection, and all that were relaxed in order to encourage people. So rivers can also, copy that as we are copying and pasting.
All right.
Paste the same here in River State. And for PTF, I think they have done well. And I also say notice.
Emifia Haga, political analyst, adolescent and adult education volunteer. Thank you so much. Emmanuel Indukwe.
Well, there will always be politics from politicians. But in this case, of course, life is involved.
All right. This will be from us on the show and Ode to the Rainmaker Magic Fashek. We'll be signing off with this song from him, and we'll forever treasure him for the great music that he had created and his message generally for all. And stay tuned. Entertainment Express will be coming up shortly, of course, with more details.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
You got a fetish for my love. Been waiting for a lifetime for.
Listen to Entertainment Today every weekday at 11:30 a.m.